Sometimes people in recovery say, don't pick up the rope, which means you can't be in a tug of war if you don't pick up the rope. So if someone says you don't care about me and you defend, you've picked up the rope. Hi, I'm Barb Nangle. I want to welcome you to my podcast, Fragmented to Whole, Life Lessons from 12-Step Recovery, where I help people heal their emotional, psychological, and spiritual wounds and make deep, lasting changes in their lives. I'm the founder and CEO of Higher Power Coaching and Consulting. I'm a boundaries coach who specializes in helping women who are focused on what others are thinking and doing and neglect themselves in the process. And I have coached hundreds of people on how to build healthy boundaries using my exclusive Build framework. On this podcast, I share my experience, strength, and hope from recovery. I don't support or endorse any particular 12-step recovery fellowship, and I don't claim to speak for any particular 12-step fellowship. I also don't believe that 12-step recovery is the only way to recover. You might need additional help. I'm an avid beachcomber who collects sea glass, shells, wood, and stones. I am a formerly closeted fan of the Hallmark Channel, especially the Christmas movies. Hello, Christmas in July. I wear fingerless gloves from September to June because my hands are always cold, so I have about 15 pairs. And I get a huge kick out of counting how many days, weeks, and months there are until my birthday or Christmas at completely random times of the year. My hope is that you'll find my words concretely helpful in improving your life, whether you're in recovery or not. If you like what you've heard on this episode, please screenshot it and share it on your social media and tag me at Higher Power Coaching. This is episode 244, How to Effectively Communicate When Someone Says, You don't care about me. If someone says to you, you don't care about me, the first thing you should not do is start listing all the ways in which you've cared for them. When you do that, that's being defensive. I think it's Glennon Doyle who says defense is the first act of war. That is, if somebody says something to you and you defend against it, you're the one that, quote, declared war, not them. That doesn't mean they didn't say something offensive. It means if you respond defensively, you've determined the way the conversation will go. Will it be conflict or will it be a conversation where actual communication happens? Sometimes people in recovery say, don't pick up the rope, which means you can't be in a tug of war if you don't pick up the rope. So if someone says you don't care about me and you defend, you've picked up the rope. So if someone says you don't care about me, especially if it's your life partner, you want to explore that with them to find out why they're saying you don't care about me. Because most people want to be heard and understood. If they say you don't care about me, then you give them a list of reasons to show that you do care about them. You've given them evidence that you're not even paying attention to what they're saying. You're negating what they're saying, which makes the case to them you don't care, and conflict will ensue. Instead of saying, I really do care about you, show them that you really do care about them by having a conversation with them. Ask probing questions or make inviting statements to get them to tell you more. Maybe, what have I done that has caused you to believe I don't care about you? Now, I was talking with a fellow in recovery recently about this, and when she did this, her husband said, because you didn't listen to me. So that's why he thought she didn't care about him. And the result of their conversation was that he believed that because she didn't do what he wanted, he thought she wasn't listening, and therefore that she didn't care about him. They were able to get on the table that they had different definitions of what it means to listen, and that was the crux of the matter. This is why clear and direct communication is so important. Conflict was avoided, real communication happened and they got on the same page. She then got him to understand that just because she didn't do what he said didn't mean she wasn't listening. It meant she disagreed. And none of that meant that she didn't care about him. So now I'm going to take time to add in one of my favorite tips about how to communicate effectively, and that is to use I language. In other words, speak from your perspective using the word I at the beginning of your sentence. In the above scenario, it could be something like, I don't feel heard, rather than saying something like, you never listen. And here's why this is so effective. When you say something like, you never listen, the other person is so much more likely to go on the defensive. First of all, you've started with you, so you're talking about them. And secondly, when you use an extreme word like never, they're even more likely to go on the defensive. And it's easy to dispute that someone, quote, never listens. That means that conflict is so much more likely to occur. And that means real communication is probably not going to happen. But when you say, I don't feel heard, it's very difficult for other people to dispute whether or not you actually feel heard. And real communication is so much more likely to happen. That's the real issue in that situation, is that you don't feel heard, not they never listen. So you're able to get at the real issue. Now, using the example I gave it a moment ago, the response could be, what have I done that has caused you to not feel heard? This is how you communicate directly with people, and it's imperative when learning how to build healthy boundaries. Part of the problem for people with poor boundaries is that they engage in indirect communication with others, or murky communication. They don't come right out and say what they want or mean. Then they get upset when people don't know what they're talking about, or when misunderstanding happens. Coming right out and saying what you mean, being clear with people is respectful. Clarity is so helpful. When everybody's on the same page, you are so much more likely to have real communication, which is required in any kind of deep, meaningful relationship, especially a life partner. And it's absolutely necessary when it comes to intimacy. As my friend Nancy Medoff from the Unmute Yourself podcast says, clear is kind. I was recently reminded by a friend that when I first started recovery, I didn't feel lovable. I almost can't believe that I used to feel that way, and that I kind of forgot something so profound, because I truly love myself now. And I want that for everybody. If you don't love yourself, there's literally nothing that can make up for that. I created something exclusively for my private clients, since many of them don't love themselves. And I've now opened up my private vault to share it with up to 10 people individually. It's called the Self-Love Sprint. You'll grow to love yourself and truly feel worthy, so you can stop saying yes when you really want to say no, stop neglecting yourself and putting everyone else first. Stop saying all kinds of nasty shit to yourself. That is not what people who love themselves and feel deserving do. You'll stop being afraid that others will think that you're selfish for taking time to care for yourself. This is also for you if you don't really know who you are because you've always been such a fucking chameleon. Go to higherpowercc.com/love sprint. Remember, I'm only offering 10 of these, so don't wait. If you like this podcast, and I'm guessing you did or you wouldn't still be listening, then you're gonna love the other things I have to offer. If you'd love pre-release podcast scripts and episodes before anyone else gets them, or If you'd love access to content from my private vault that I developed exclusively for my private clients, which is like having a work session with me without me actually being there, go to patreon.com/higherpowercoaching. There are 3 tiers ranging from as low as $4 up to $24 a month. You'll also love my weekly newsletter, Friday Fragments, which has content very similar to the podcast. You can check it out at fridayfragments.news. That's fridayfragments.news. Please like and subscribe to my podcast on your favorite podcast outlet. I'd also love it if you'd leave a review, which you can do either in the show notes or on Apple Podcasts. It really helps other people find my podcast so they can get the benefits you've gotten from listening. If someone came to mind when you listen to this particular episode, please share it with them. And my favorite place to hang out on social media is Instagram. I'm at Higher Power Coaching. Please DM me there. I'd love to hear what you got from this episode. I run group and private coaching programs on building healthy boundaries. Whether you need help with boundaries in your personal, professional, or romantic life, I can help. Head on over to barbchat.net, where you can hop onto my calendar for a free 30-minute Better Boundaries consultation. My ideal client is someone who is ripe for change. If that's you, I would love to work with you. My goal with all my work is to help you make lasting changes in your life, like I've made deep, lasting changes in my life. Remember, it's never too late to recover. No one is beyond hope, and healing is possible. Thanks for listening.